The Democratic Party exists for the American people.
We're a nation of dreamers.
Making their voices heard.
We feel liberated.
It expands the limits of what's possible.
We have not come to the end of our fight.
The United Democratic Party is our greatest strength.
We have the right policies. We can change the world.
This is a moment for activism.
Get out there and fight.
And welcome to Democrats Live on the road in Las Vegas. I'm here with our chair, Mr. Tom Perez, and our good buddy, Congressman Barbara Lee. Right. We are at the fall DNC meeting, and it's so exciting. But you know, we're lucky to have Barbara Lee with us. Barbara, tell us, what motivates you?
What motivates me? What motivates me is to see a world that is worthy of our children, a world that's at peace, a world that provides for economic security and jobs and a decent quality standard of living for all of our people, a world that is free of racism, discrimination, homophobia, Islamophobia, sexism, you know, a world where everyone is treated as human beings. And we have a long way to go in this country.
But you're dreaming of it.
I'm going to keep at it.
Tell me what stay woke means.
Well, stay woke is we are staying woke. We're staying vigilant. We're making sure that this Donald Trump understands that we will not let him get away with his un-American agenda. And I'm very proud of the fact that very recently the Webster Dictionary in a new edition defined woke, and they used a quote that I gave in a speech to define woke.
We're not
so
surprised.
we are staying woke.
Hey, that's all right, isn't it, you guys?
So,
do you get royalties on that?
not hardly. I mean, I don't know if I want to be in the dictionary now either. But
well,
we are staying woke.
Under activist, progressive, you know, full of integrity, maybe you should be in the dictionary.
Uh-oh. No, I don't think so. I think our people, our millennials, our young people, because they're the ones that coined the term stay woke.
That's
you
right.
know, and it's their future and it's their agenda that we have to run with.
Well, one of the things that our viewers may not know today is that you're not only a distinguished member of Congress, you're also a distinguished member of the Democratic National Committee.
That's right.
So thank you for being here with both your hats on.
Thank you.
right.
And let me
That's
just say,
What you're doing.
first of all, let me tell you now, I reluctantly became a Democrat in the early 70s, and that was when Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, the first African-American woman elected to Congress, the first African-American and the first woman to run for president. She encouraged me to register to vote. I didn't think the Democratic Party spoke to the issues that I cared about. It wasn't progressive enough. It wasn't doing what I thought needed to be done. I was a young mother, single, on welfare, President Black Student Union at Mills College, so I got it. I knew, I was very conscious, but no way was I going to be a Democrat or a Republican. I wanted to stay independent. I was a revolutionary. Shirley Chisholm convinced me that I had to get inside of the party, and she said, Barbara, you've got to get in there, you got to change the rules of the game. She said, you have got to make the party more inclusive, more democratic, more progressive, and I'm still doing that. Trying to do that. Trying, it's hard though.
Well, one of the things that you've done for our country, for Democrats, all of us, is you've stood up consistently for peace. And to that end, after 2003, after the tremendous tragedy of 9/11, you were one of the folks who said, look, you know, we cannot give a blank check to the president. We have to evaluate where we are, and you were the only one who voted no. That took a lot of guts. But then you ended up being vindicated. Everybody ended up agreeing that you were right to really put some parameters on war. And so your fight now is on the authorization for the use of military force, which has been in existence, and we're still getting into conflicts around the globe based on this. Could you tell us about your fight on the AUMF?
The 2001 resolution was a blank check, 60 words. It was passed 3 days, mind you, after the horrific attacks of 9/11. Now, we were angry, we wanted revenge, we were in mourning. Now, when in the world, and I'm a psychiatric social worker by profession.
And the daughter of a military person.
And the daughter of a retired lieutenant colonel. There is no way 3 days after such a terrible event that anyone can make a rational decision about what to do. And so I tried to get the House to hold back on that, and it was a resolution basically that came forward that said the Congress, the president can use force against any nation, organization, individual connected to 9/11. It was a blank check. Fast forward, it's been used now over 37 times according to a declassified report by the Library of Congress. Yemen, Somalia, wiretapping, Guantanamo, Niger, everywhere in the world. And so we've got to repeal that, because we are in now several wars, and we need Congress to debate the costs and consequences of these wars so that people have input and know what we're doing. We're missing in action. It's our constitutional responsibility to do that. So I've been trying for years, over 11 years, to repeal that resolution and say, look, now Congress needs to go back, have another debate and a vote. And finally, in the Appropriations Committee, I'm an appropriator, in a bipartisan way, Republicans and Democrats, they all agreed with me. And they supported my amendment to the Defense Appropriations Bill and passed it, voice vote. Wow. And it was really quite a moment. Everyone clapped. It happened. We had been working on it for a long time. Yeah. Thank God our grassroots organizations had been leading the way. Finally, it came to this after years and years and years. And do you know, as the bill moved from the Appropriations Committee, which it does, to the Rules Committee, to the floor, in the middle of the night, we checked, it's probably 10 or 11 o'clock at night, a 326-page bill, that one section was just wiped out. That was the only section, just taken out. And so the bill got to the Rules Committee without it. The Rules Committee didn't even debate and vote to take it out. It was Paul Ryan at the instruction of Donald Trump that just wiped it out. And I mean, so this was undemocratic, it was underhanded, and it was wrong. But you know what? We're coming back and we're going to get it done.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. I mean, the reality is Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell are doing Donald Trump's bidding. You see these talks of disagreements here and there, but on the Affordable Care Act repeal, they're doing that. On what you've just discussed, which goes to the heart of the responsibilities of Congress, they're following Trump's lead. I mean, this Republican Party and Donald Trump, as much as they sometimes want to try to distance, they are joined at the hip. And what I wanted to ask you is, you said something at the outset, which is, I joined the Democratic Party reluctantly. And there are a number of people out there, and I think the reason Keith and I have been doing this together is we recognize that there's some folks who are trying to figure out, what does the Democratic Party stand for, and do I want to join that? How have you've been so successful in bringing people along? What's your message, and what do we need to do better?
Well, let me tell you, I'm hardcore, first of all.
In my church, we would say amen to that, okay?
Hardcore. I'm an African-American woman. I'm a progressive African-American woman, and I really believe in systemic and institutional change, first of all. And so somehow, you know, I have been able to, and it's difficult, I'm still doing this, try to educate people as to why the Democratic Party provides the space to really be active in trying to, I don't say reform, we need to revolutionize the party, because the party has to stand for something, and it has to stand for more than tinkering around the edges. And so if you notice, I come to the DNC meetings all of the time with resolutions trying to push the party a little bit further out there. This time we passed a resolution, thank you very much Democratic National Committee, for removing the Confederate statutes in Statuary Hall. We passed that. I had a resolution here that said we are not going to allow the president to conduct a nuclear strike without coming to Congress. It's a no first use of a nuclear weapon unless Congress says that that's what the people think needs to happen. So, you know, I think it's important for me to continue to work with the party and others, and I'm encouraging younger people and other people to do this, participate, because we need to get on record where the party stands. When you look at the party platform, I've been on the drafting committee now, and this has been hard to try to negotiate a progressive platform. But if I'm not here inside, you know, if you're not inside, then we leave it up to others who may not want to see the progressive positions in our progressive agenda. So you got to get on the inside and work, and you don't always win, But one thing about the party, we negotiate and we fight among ourselves, but we come out unified. That's how we're going to win elections next year.
That's right. So tell me this, as somebody who has been through the movement as you have been and still in it, what do you say to these folks out of here who might have been outraged by some things they've seen over the last year, whether they're DACA recipients or got inspired by Charlottesville or all these kind of things? What is your message to the youthful grassroots activists, or not so youthful?
My message first is to stay woke, stay vigilant. That street heat, the rallies, the marches are extremely important. That external pressure is the only way things are going to change. But you have to have people on the inside who are going to carry the water within the system, okay? And so you have to have a strong inside-outside strategy.
That's what I was going to say.
Strong inside-outside strategy, and the movement has to be involved in voter registration, voter education, and getting people out to vote. And I think you all are doing a great job with the 50-state strategy in terms of rising up and getting organized, because that's what it takes. So you can't leave out and believe, like the Women's March. It was phenomenal. Millions of women. It was intersectionality, And coming from my district, we've always worked on intersectionality, coalitions of people.
Amen.
And so the party, I think, my suggestion would be the party look at how the tactics and the strategies around intersectionality, which Kimberly Ellis coined, Kimberly Crenshaw, excuse me, in Southern California, coined, and use some of those strategies to get more political involvement in the Democratic Party, because I think we can do that.
Well, I think what Keith did with the DNC this year and leading the Resistance Summer is exactly what you're talking about. And it wasn't simply getting out there and knocking on doors and telling people who we were, but it was also the opportunity to get out there with our friends in the progressive movement, some of whom were wondering, is this still a good partner? But what we've been able to do, and we know we got more work to do on this, but when we had that training before our Resistance Summer started, we had over 130 different organizations there.
That's right.
And when we lead with our values and we're knocking on doors together and we're advocating together, that's how we start earning the trust. Because I think what I heard you say is you got to earn the trust.
You got to earn the trust, and I was really happy. We kicked off the West Coast summer.
Yeah, you did.
In my district, and it was great. But I have to say, we have to make sure that everyone has a voice, and that the progressive wing, young people, people of color, seniors, everyone has a voice at the table in this party. And we have to be unified and not allow the internal kind of dynamics take over, because we've got to win these elections. And really, it really is about our country, and it's about the world. It's about security, it's about jobs, it's about basic standards of living, it's about peace. So we have to do it together.
Well, we got to hang together.
It ain't going back.
Right, that's right. We got to stick together.
Back.
So let me just, as we begin to wrap up, let me just say, Tom, thank you for your support of Resistance Summer. It was awesome. It was a team effort. But we're facing the budget and the tax thing right now. Could you give us a word on these Republican tax cuts and the Trump budget and what it means to people and why they need to get involved?
This horrible budget that was passed really does set the stage for their tax reform, which of course is a tax giveaway for millionaires and billionaires at the expense of the middle class, low-income people, and the poor. And so we have to stay woke and push back on this. We have to organize, and we have to say no to their tax reform package. Because when you look at these budget cuts that the Senate just passed theirs yesterday, I mean, these are horrible in terms of SNAP, in terms of housing, in terms of education, in terms of health care. They're trying to undermine the Affordable Care Act, take away health care from millions of people to pay for these huge tax cuts. Pentagon spending is soaring. Unbelievable. State Department's being cut by 30%. So their budget, EPA cut, so their budget sets the stage for tax cuts for the very wealthy, and this is something that's unacceptable, because we will go backwards, and more people will fall below the poverty line as it relates to their tax reform package, and more people will be hurt.
And what'll happen to income inequality?
Income inequality the gap will continue to widen. When you look at people of color, When you look at low-income individuals, when you look at the middle class, you're going to have the income gap. You know, you're going to have more people working 3 jobs just to make ends meet, where now they're barely surviving and making ends meet. Thank God for 15 for 15.
Yep.
You know, and we got to move to a living wage for everyone, but this tax reform package is going to take us in the wrong direction. It's going to
So let me just say on behalf of Tom and I, we are so grateful you're here with us. And we want to say thank you. Let's hear it for Barbara Lee, everybody. Anything you want to tell them on your way out, Barb?
To stay woke.
That's right.
And ready. And we got to bring more Democrats into the party.
That's right.
We want more Democrats.
So, hey, let's thank Barbara Lee.
much.
And let's invite in Assemblyman and Chairman William McCurdy, activist, organizer, educator Artie Blanco. And thank you very much, Barbara Lee.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you, dear. Alaikum salam.
All right.
Boy, here we. Let me tell you guys, Tom, we got the show today, brother.
Amen.
When we hit the road, we hit it big, don't we?
Well, and absolutely. And the reason the reason we came here to Las Vegas is because we have to replicate across America what you've done here in Nevada, which is you've organized. Yes. You've gotten good candidates. In 2014 or 2016, you said heck no, and you elected the first Latina to the United States Senate, Catherine Cortez Masto, and in 2018, we're going to say hell no, and repeal and replace Dean Heller.
That's right.
And you've done it, and so that's why we know we can do it when we put this together, and that's why we're so excited to be here with both of you.
We are charged to be here. Let me tell you, we do want to recognize that it's only a few days ago, horrible tragedy. We lost 59 people. Many, many more were injured. And we definitely want to let you know the DNC is praying for those victims, honored and very grateful for the first responders. And just really, our hearts are beating with you guys, and we want you to know that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for that.
So, but you also got some other politics you need to talk about. What's going on with these recall elections? What's the story there?
So yes, these recall elections that everyone is starting to hear about across not only our state but across our nation. What we have is a group of individuals who decided that they didn't like the results of the last election and the great work that we did on the ground and across our state, turning our state blue. They decided to pick 3 of our senators, hard-working Democratic senators, and decide to file recall petitions against them. And what that looks like is that they filed them in August, and they have about 90 days to gather the signatures that's needed to basically start an election and get them out of there.
What offense did they commit?
Right, that was my question. Did they do something wrong? No.
Were they like Donald Trump?
Right.
No.
Yes, they were not like Donald Trump.
Yeah, were they?
They were hardworking, pro family, pro labor, and actually pro public education for every student. Yes. And these are baseless attacks. It's an attack on our democracy, and it's completely atrocious that it's being carried out. And being that they just can't accept the results of the last election, and that's really what it's about. And they figure that if they can do this now, and they have said that they would like to, win back the Senate majority by Christmas. Now, what that really means is in 2020 we look at redistricting. That threatens our democracy. This is serious business, and we're doing everything that we can possibly think of here at the Democratic Party here in Nevada to fight this off, and Artie can attest to that.
Yeah. Artie, you want to pick up there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're knocking on doors every day and talking to voters, and they don't understand it. And this is the thing, that it is a threat to everyone's democratic right, whether you're a Democrat, a nonpartisan, or Republican, because they are just choosing to lie. Baseless attacks and literally lying to voters of all parties or non-parties. I mean, we're talking to voters every day. People talk about, voters are apathetic. There's apathy out there. You know why it's growing? Because of the lies, the constant negativity. They don't know who to trust anymore.
Sure.
And for me, it is like we need to develop relationships with our neighbors. And we need to be educating. I always say to my team every day, what is our #1 goal? Inform and educate.
All right.
Inform and educate ourselves, inform and educate our neighbors, and everyone else that needs to understand that this is bold-faced lies. We are talking not only just to Democrats during this recall, we are talking to Republicans. And they are saying, I had not realized what they are trying to do. Even Republicans are saying, I want my name removed. Nonpartisan voters are saying, I want my name removed. And then they say, thank you so much for coming and educating me on this.
And then you build a relationship and you build trust.
Yes.
You know, Artie, one of the things I think Tom and I would want to share with everybody watching is who some of our stars are across the nation. That'd be two of you guys.
Amen.
Tell us a little bit about the story of Artie Blanco. How did you get moving in this thing?
How did I get moving? My father.
Yeah?
My father, Alfredo Blanco, Houston, Texas, immigrant from Mexico, was fortunate enough to find a really good union job. He was a machinist, Bowen Tools, Houston, Texas, along with my uncle. When I was 14, got hurt on the job. You know, his machine pulled in his shirt, pulled in his arm. As he's trying to reach the off button, it really just yanked his whole arm in, and he lost his right hand. And, you know, that could ruin a family. It's just me, my father, and my brother in that household. And, you know, because it didn't ruin us because of our union contract, because of his machinist union contract for that site, that he got retrained. They paid for the medical benefits, medical bills. He got a small settlement because it's a malfunction of the machine. If there's an accident, how can you turn it off? You can't reach it.
Right.
So we got a small settlement. Had this small home with lots of possibilities he still lives in today. We built it up from the ground. Didn't have cabinets, didn't have a sink. We redid the floors. I remember being 14 years old, being in my driveway, washing with the water hose in a bucket, plastic plates. We didn't have cabinets. We didn't have running water in the house for a while. And you know, my father, at that point, the union said, we need to re-educate you. We need to let's retrain you. And because of the contract, they had to find him another job. He was also learning English at the time. Sure. And then he reminded me, I spoke with him this morning because he saw, I spoke with him this morning. I speak with him almost every day because English is not his first language. And he would take me to Democratic Party meetings. He would take me to union meetings. And it was really about, what am I going to do? What is our family going to do to continue? So I've dedicated my entire career on electing Democrats that care about working people and working families and that fight that we have rights. Workers have rights. You have to have a contract. You have to have a contract. Right. If there is an accident, we can no longer just let people deal with it themselves. We are a community, and that's what the Democratic Party is. And that's why I'm a proud Democrat, and I'm a proud labor activist, and I will fight for anybody that needs a right work.
And I want folks watching. You know, Tom, I want the people who tune into this show across this nation to know the quality of people who are fighting for them every day. Bless you, Artie Blanco. Amen. And bless Alfredo, too.
That's right.
Yeah, he taught you well.
Yeah.
Yes,
So Will, you got a story, too. Let us know. What made you a Democrat? Who are you?
Yes, certainly. So I was born and raised right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I had a pretty interesting upbringing. I grew up in a very low-income area. To be completely real with you, I was a high school dropout at 17, a teenage father, and I found myself not knowing how I was going to take care of my son. So I joined the Iron Workers Union, Union 416. I often say that I cut my teeth as an iron worker. Then I went over to the local laborers A72, became a construction foreman. Then when the recession hit, I lost my job. And as you might imagine, this was a devastating time for not only myself, my family, but not only my family, many of my brothers and sisters in the movement. So I gathered myself. I decided that it was not over, and at 24 years old, I decided to go back and get my high school diploma.
All right, that's a hand.
And once I got my high school diploma, I said, you know what, I'm going to take it a little bit further. So I got my high school diploma. I then went on to the community college, and I got involved there. That was in June of 2012. I got my high school diploma, then went to community college, became a student senator. Then I became the elected student body president of all 40,000 students. And that's where I really got bit by the bug of politics and how, if we get involved as young people, we can actually affect change, not only within our personal circles, but we can create policy for the entire state. So became the president. I became a union organizer for SEIU, and I said, you know what? We're gonna crank it up a notch, and we're gonna go and we're gonna try to become a state assemblyman, and we were successful. I got through my primary with nearly 63% of the vote in the four-way primary, and we got through with 88% in November, and was elected chairman in March, and we haven't looked back since. But the reason why I did this is because the Democratic Party is the party of opportunity. It is the party of equality, and it certainly is a party of a better life for everyone. And it was imperative that I got further involved as a young African-American man to bring youth and diversity to my party, and also to lead the charge so that everyone can see and know that they will have a seat at the table, their voices will be heard, and we will continue to elect Democrats up and down the ticket, and we will continue to do good work, not only in our state, but across the nation.
All right.
And this is important for us. So yeah, that's how I got involved.
No, man,
I'm
that's
excited.
a great story. Well, you know what? I tell you, you guys are stars, of course, but we really do have a rich, Tom, wouldn't you? We got some awesome activists
We're meeting
across
them
this
everywhere,
party.
and that's, to me, what gives me most optimism is there are a lot of Will and Arties across this country, and we're helping to make sure that they are force multipliers and that we make more. You know, I'd like to ask you a question about Nevada 2016. I came out here when I was labor secretary in 2015, and I remember vividly the signs out there in the Democratic circles were "Never again." That was the motto, and that was a reference to the 2014 cycle where we backslid.
Yes.
A wonderful Congressman, Steve Horsford, lost his seat.
Wonderful guy.
We did poorly in the state Senate and the state House, and you know the story. And it was never again.
Yes.
And then you fast forward to 2016, and you ran the table. Secretary Clinton won in here in Nevada. We had the history made with not only Senator Cortez Masto, but you have Rubin in
Cunin,
Congress, Jackie in District 3, I think it is.
Yes.
And we have the state Senate and the state House, which is why they're doing what they're trying to do, the shenanigans. They couldn't win then, so they're trying to engage in these shenanigans now. What was the formula for success? Maybe we'll start with the chair, but I know you were neck deep in it too, so that's a question for both of you.
So I would say that it was starting early and recognizing that we had to have absolute buy-in from all of our partners, whether that be through labor, even business folks were upset about the results of the last election because they took a hit as well. And with organized efforts and making sure we were, on the ground, knocking on doors, not just sending mail, but sending mail as well, and calling into a lot of these districts and letting folks know, why we need to turn out, in 2016. And a lot of that can be attributed to some of the work that Artie did as well. She's a phenomenal organizer and phenomenal leader here in our state. And and our coordinated efforts, were functioning at an all-time high, like a well-oiled machine. And you saw the fruits of those labors this past November. What would you say, Artie?
Yes, we did what we had to do in Nevada. People say, now that it's post-election, we can talk about the different work that was done in the state. And, one of the things that everybody talked about this year was about technology, or last year, like data this, data that, and, we just need to mobilize, Yes, we need to rise, and we need to organize, and we need to mobilize. But in the in-between moments, we still need to persuade.
Right.
We still need to go and have the hard conversations with voters. And we have to do it early, as William said. Our organization started knocking doors in June, right after the primaries.
That's right.
We cannot wait any longer till the end or the final 6 weeks. We have got to start early and asking the voters first about what is the issue that is important to you. Well, tell me what the issue that is important to you. Great. Did you know that Catherine Cortez Masto has done this work and that her opponent has done nothing, has not done his job? And so when we do that and we talk about every issue is on the table. And we have to make sure that we are communicating that. And so when folks across the country, and I will, not to say anything ill of the East Coast, we love them, and everything that is run out of there, but we know how to win elections here in the West. And in the West, we listen to the voters. And it is very hard, even for me as a Democrat, when people say, why, Democrat, why should I vote for a Democrat? What is the message? I know what the message is, because it's my message. We lift people up. We don't take people down. We don't divide people. And so in Nevada, our organization, we worked with organizations that knocked on over 1,089,000 doors from June to Election Day.
That's right.
We had those conversations early and often, and that is how we won in Nevada. We don't take any voters off the table, because we can still find them. We need to go to the areas that are more affluent and build that relationship.
Sure.
Build that relationship. Gain that trust. That's how we have to do this. And that's what we've done in Nevada, and that's how we did it in 2016. Now, 2014 is an anomaly. That no organizations were here. We didn't have really top of the ticket. It is very hard for a lot of our bottom ballot tickets. But here's the thing about 2018. 2018 will not be 2014 in Nevada.
Right.
Because we are dedicated to keep the majorities that we have in the state legislature. And the never again message, that was Nevada State AFL-CIO that came up with that message. That was the labor movement, because the minute that the Republicans got into office, they went after working people.
Evergreen clause.
They went after working people. They went after prevailing wage. They don't want to pay construction workers the wage that they're due, just to be able to support their families. They actually, the overtime rule that you had passed, that you had gotten through in the Department of Labor, they went after overtime in the state of Nevada.
Yes, they did.
And how are you going to do that in a state that has a 24-hour economy and a market? Right. You cannot do that in this state. And that's where the never again came from. And it motivated our brothers and sisters from across the state to be engaged. But that's how we win. We win by building that relationship, organizing, and not being afraid to have the hard conversations.
Well, I think tomorrow we're going to do some
building
organizing. Tomorrow we're going to be doing some organizing. Saturday, right?
Yes, tomorrow we're going to do some organizing. We have a good congressman here. He's going to come out and he's going to lead the canvass for these recalls that we're having. We're going to make sure that voters know exactly what's going on. We're not going to let them be duped into signing something that is baseless, that has no real reason for happening. And we invite everyone out if you're in Nevada.
And not only is Keith going to be there tomorrow, which is fantastic, and others, but we've made a six-figure investment at the DNC.
Come on now.
We're all in this together. And that's the new DNC. We're out here to help our folks everywhere, because we understand the importance of this. We understand how unconscionable this is.
Absolutely.
I know we want to go to questions.
Yeah, we got some folks who got to get in the convo. What do you got for us?
That's right. We have a few questions that came through our social media. Mila from Florida posted on our Facebook, how will you energize people in grassroots states to come out and support the DNC? Okay,
good question. What do y'all think?
Democrats are everywhere. Democrats are everyone. I'm a Democrat. We're everyone. And the way, it is not just about supporting the DNC. It is about supporting a movement of the Democratic Party, a movement that is, the DNC is just not Tom or Keith in a building in DC. It is across the country. And so we do that by supporting other Democrats in your neighborhood, in your precinct, in your city, and in your town. And I appreciate, Mr. Chairman, that commitment. Thank you very much for Nevada. We need that support. And so to the questioner, thank you for that question. Because when we have asked, the DNC is supporting. And as long as they're supporting Democrats in our area, then that's what brings in the added support. One person is not quite a movement. Once you get a few more, that's a movement.
About a month ago, there was a remarkable special election down in Florida in a seat where the Republican won last year by a double-digit margin.
Wow.
And we had a spectacular candidate, Annette Tadeo. We made investment in that race. There was a great organizing effort locally by a host of partners. The Florida Democratic Party, under the leadership of Stephen Battelle, was all in, and we won that election. And when I was with Annette, well, what was the secret? It's a good candidate, boots on the ground, and talking about the issues that people care about.
So it's the grassroots, it's the candidate, it's the party's backup, and together
And
we
the
end up with a
message.
win.
Yeah, absolutely. And you spoke about issues. The people will mobilize when we continue to address the issues and provide tangible solutions on how we're going to continue to improve their lives. And the DNC showed that leadership when they saw the recalls happening here in Nevada, and you said, hey, how can we help? And that six-figure contribution helped us so much. That's how we mobilize. That's how we keep people engaged. That's how we see that we're not just talking. We're acting on what we're saying.
We want every Democrat asking that question. How can we help? That's a good question.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah. So what else we got today?
So this one, switching gears a little bit, Jessica on Facebook wants to know, what is your strategy to better message our positive values? And second question, what is your strategy to counter-program Fox, Breitbart, and hateful talk radio that especially blankets red states?
Well, one thing you could do is tune into Democrats Live.
That's right.
But Tom, you want to touch on that one?
Yeah, no, I mean, we have the mission of the work that we're all doing, and I should note that not only are our two guests remarkable Democrats here, they're also distinguished members of the Democratic National Committee. And what we have to do, and it's what you talked about before, when you talk to the issues that people care about, you connect with them. And we lost elections in many areas because, first of all, we didn't show up. And we are changing that. That's what Resistance Summer was about. That's what our renewed commitment to organizing is about. And the question is, organizing around what? We have always stood as a Democratic Party for opportunity, as you said. We believe that education is the great equalizer. And we've been fighting for education. We believe the Secretary of Education ought to believe in public education.
Yes.
What about that?
And the EPA, yeah, there's a concept.
Yeah.
And maybe the EPA administrator ought to know something about climate science.
Yes.
It shouldn't be in the pocket of the industry. But above all, and the connective tissue with all this is, we are about the endless possibilities of the American people. From the beginning of time, we seemingly, my parents taught me when they came here in the 30s, FDR was a freedom fighter. He was fighting for our security. He was fighting for our freedom from want. He was fighting for our freedom from fear, which is arguably a freedom that is most at risk right now. He was fighting for those endless possibilities. That's what Harry Truman did. John Kennedy challenged us to put a man on the moon. And we built the social safety net of the 30s with Social Security. We built the healthcare safety net of the 60s with Medicaid and Medicare, the Affordable Care Act more recently. The Civil Rights Act gave us the moral compass of this nation. And it's premised on the notion that we have your back. We're fighting for everyone, not just people in the 1% crowd. We're fighting for everyone in every zip code, and we have to deliver that message, and that's what you did, and that's why you're winning, and that's what we're doing, and that's why we're going to keep winning nationwide.
I think we got time for one last question.
Great. Okay. So this question is one we've heard before. I think it's worth mentioning. What is the Democratic Party's 2018 plan and message?
All right. You guys want to jump in here? I mean,
you got some big races here in Nevada, so why don't we talk about that?
So we have to stick to what we know. We have to share our stories. We have to share why it is imperative that each individual who's registered to vote gets out, and we have to make sure we expand our reach in registering people who are not currently registered to vote. Again, I will go back to the idea that our party is the party of opportunity, equality, and a better life. Right now, the attacks that are happening on our states and our representatives up on the Hill, that is disgusting. That's not going to be the only motivator for people to get out. We are the party that looks to expand jobs and access to well-paying jobs.
Good jobs.
Great jobs. And that's how we are going to continue to keep people engaged, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is make sure that we can provide for our families make sure that we have a safe and secure roof over our heads, and make sure that we have, you know, just a really, you know, average quality of life. We don't want too much. And we're going to continue to spread that message, and we're going to continue to let folks know that you have to turn out. You cannot, by you sitting down at home, you're just surrendering, and you're allowing someone who doesn't reflect your values to hold a seat that they don't need to hold.
You know, Will, I tell folks, you know, not voting is not a protest, it's a surrender.
That's right.
It is.
It's a surrender. Now, if you're willing to give up and let the other side run the table, then stay home. But if you care about this country, if you love this country and the people in it, time to get busy. In less than 3 weeks, we have an election day in Virginia and in New Jersey. We need people to get out there, to sign up, to get involved, to arise and organize. You've heard it from our chairman, you've heard it from Artie Blanco, and you've heard it from Will McCurdy. We are in this fight, and we're going to be going out there and battling. If you want to stay in touch, we will stay in touch with you. All you got to do is, if you want to rise and organize through the election day, you can text the word RISE, R-I-S-E, to 43367. Help me out. 43367. Okay, so we need you to, but we need you to be involved. And that is all we have time for today. Thanks for tuning in to Democrats Live. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Artie Blanco. Thank you, Artie Blanco. And thank you, Will McCurdy. All right.